How to naturally increase testosterone levels. As a man, your muscle strength, bones, and even cognition depend on your testosterone levels. Although testosterone decreases with age, there are many simple ways to naturally boost it. 1. Reduce your body fat. Studies show that the more fat you have, the lower your testosterone levels tend to be. This is because excess fat leads to the conversion of testosterone into estrogen via the enzyme aromatase. However, lower body fat isn't always better. The ideal body fat range for testosterone is between 8% and 14%. To improve your posture. Harvard researchers found that changing your posture can affect testosterone and cortisol levels. Participants who adopted high-power poses, such as standing tall with an expansive posture, experienced a 20% increase in testosterone and a decrease in cortisol levels. In contrast, those who adopted low-power poses, like slumping, saw a nearly 25% decrease in testosterone and an increase in cortisol. Therefore, maintain good posture to boost your confidence and testosterone levels. 3. Do strength training. Researchers recruited 20 male college students with no prior exercise experience and had them do strength training 3 times a week. They found that after 4 weeks, their testosterone levels increased by 40%, and their cortisol levels decreased by 24%. Another study also supports this, showing that resistance training can regulate testosterone receptors, making the body more efficient at using testosterone. 4. Ensure adequate sleep. Sleep has a significant impact on testosterone levels. In one study, participants who slept only 5 hours a night had about 15% lower testosterone levels than those who slept 8 hours. Another study of over 500 men found that each additional hour of sleep increased testosterone levels by about 15%. Most people should aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. 5. Reduce stress. Chronic stress, such as financial issues, an unfulfilling job, or unhappiness, can lead to increased cortisol release. Cortisol production requires pregnenolone, which is also an important intermediate for producing testosterone. Therefore, control stress through proven techniques like nature exposure, meditation, and yoga. 6. Get a girlfriend. Studies show that regular sexual activity increases testosterone levels, while long periods of abstinence can decrease them. Another study found that sexual activity can increase testosterone levels by up to 72%. So, the more active you are, the more you can create a positive feedback loop to boost testosterone. 7. Change your diet. Research shows that a diet with more than 40% fat can increase testosterone levels, while a diet with less than 25% fat can lead to a sharp decline. Ensure you consume enough dietary fats, but remember, not all fats are the same. The most beneficial fats for testosterone are saturated and monounsaturated fats from sources like meat and nuts. Trans fats from processed foods, however, have serious negative effects. 8. Supplement vitamins. Almost all vitamins and minerals affect testosterone in some way. Deficiencies in micronutrients can be very detrimental to your health. For example, a study of over 2,000 men found that those with adequate vitamin D levels had much higher testosterone levels than those who were deficient. Scientists also found that testosterone levels were higher in the months with more sunlight because of increased vitamin D. But vitamin D isn't the only necessary nutrient. Other important ones include magnesium and zinc, which have been proven to boost testosterone. If you sweat a lot from exercise, consider supplementing these micronutrients. 9. Eat ginger. A human study found that consuming ginger daily for 90 days increased men's testosterone levels by over 17%. Although the study didn't specify the exact amount of ginger consumed, 1 to 3 grams per day is recommended for most people. Hope these tips help you improve your testosterone levels. If you like my content, please give it a thumbs up to support. How should natural fitness enthusiasts arrange their training plans? Today, we'll use some research data to help you understand how to arrange your training plan effectively. A 10-week study published in a Western medical journal recruited 43 men and divided them into 4 groups. The first group did not exercise or take any steroids, so their muscles did not change significantly after 10 weeks. The second group also did not exercise but took 600 milligrams of steroids weekly, gaining 7 pounds of muscle by the end of the study. The third group did not use any steroids but followed a progressive weight training regimen, gaining an average of 4 pounds of muscle, which is about half of the gain in the steroid-only group. The fourth group took 600 milligrams of steroids weekly and also engaged in progressive weight training, gaining 13 pounds of muscle, which is more than 3 times the gain of the natural training group. It's worth noting that, in reality, people often use much higher doses of steroids than 600 milligrams per week and combine them with other steroids. This steroid use keeps their muscles in a constant state of protein synthesis, allowing them to adopt 5-day splits or even longer cycle training to better adjust proportions and details. However, for natural athletes, if the interval between 2 training sessions is too long, it will lead to missing the optimal period for supercompensation. Another study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research compared 2 groups, one trained once a week, and the other trained 3 times a week, with both groups having the same total training volume. The conclusion was that the group training 3 times a week saw more muscle gains. A meta-analysis also concluded that the current evidence suggests that splitting the same training volume into 2 sessions per week is more effective for muscle growth than completing it in 1 session. This is because more frequent triggering of muscle protein synthesis, MPS, results in better muscle growth. Studies show that MPS peaks about 24 hours after exercise, being more than double that of 36 hours post-exercise, and then returns to baseline levels. From this, we can see that spending more time in protein synthesis leads to greater muscle growth. For example, if you plan 16 sets of strength training for a muscle group in 1 day, sets beyond the 8th will typically be limited by fatigue. However, if you split the same 16 sets into 2 days with 8 sets each day, you will achieve higher training quality because your muscles are fresher. Additionally, the low hormone levels in natural athletes are insufficient to support doing many exercises, so focus should be placed on multi-joint compound movements. Considering a muscle group rest period of 48 to 72 hours, a 3-day split will be more effective. In summary, natural fitness enthusiasts should choose a 3-day split because it is more efficient, less intense, not exhausting, and leads to greater muscle growth. How is fat eliminated from the body and how can we reduce it? The human body is a complex and precise machine that requires a series of steps and changes to burn fat, involving various hormones, enzymes, and signaling pathways. Today's content is a bit technical, so just listen and you don't need to remember all the details. 1. Trigger the body to burn fat. The most important step is to signal the body to burn fat. Your body burns fat throughout the day, but it also continuously stores fat due to its self-preservation mechanisms. To lose fat, you need to burn more fat than you store, which means achieving a calorie deficit. This means your total daily energy expenditure must exceed your calorie intake. When the energy from food is insufficient to sustain bodily activities, the body starts utilizing stored fat. 2. Fat breakdown. When in a calorie deficit, the body adjusts hormone levels to help break down fat. For example, cortisol increases, prompting the liver to release glucose and promoting fat breakdown for energy. Insulin decreases, reducing glucose utilization and promoting more fat breakdown. Thyroid hormones increase, boosting basal metabolism. Adrenaline and noradrenaline levels rise, binding to beta-adrenergic receptors in fat cells and promoting fat breakdown. Growth hormone increases, protecting muscle tissue and enhancing fat breakdown. During fat breakdown, triglycerides stored in fat cells are released. Triglycerides are broken down by an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase into 1 glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acids. These fatty acids are transported through the bloodstream to tissues needing energy. They enter the cell's mitochondria, where they are oxidized to produce energy. 3. Fat oxidation. Once inside the cells, fatty acids are converted into acetyl-CoA by a series of enzymes. Acetyl-CoA enters the mitochondria with the help of carnitine acyltransferase, often marketed as L-carnitine. However, the body can produce L-carnitine from other essential amino acids, so claims that L-carnitine supplements can help with fat loss are often overstated. The exception is for vegetarians who may not get enough protein from their diet to produce sufficient L-carnitine. Through these processes, fatty acids undergo oxidation, producing energy and byproducts like carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide is exhaled, while water is excreted through urine and sweat. This is the entire fat-burning process. Additional considerations. When hungry, the body secretes more ghrelin, signaling the brain to eat. When you are overweight or full, fat cells secrete leptin, signaling the brain to stop eating and prevent overeating. However, lack of exercise, a diet high in fried foods, or chronic sleep deprivation can lead to leptin resistance, where the brain does not receive the signal to stop eating even when the body has enough fat. Without strong willpower, this can easily lead to overeating. To combat this, eat natural, healthy, filling, and slow-digesting foods like whole grains and vegetables. In summary, choose foods that are minimally processed and as close to their natural state as possible. These are the key points about fat loss. Hope this helps. Is there really a difference between dead and active muscle? Does muscle cell hypertrophy really happen faster than myofibrillar hypertrophy? Muscle hypertrophy can be categorized into 3 types. Myofibrillar hypertrophy. This involves an increase in the size of the myofibrils, which are the basic units of muscle fibers that generate force. When myofibrils grow, the entire muscle enlarges, and strength also increases proportionally. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. This type involves an increase in the volume of the sarcoplasm, the fluid within muscle cells. This fluid contains various organelles, glycogen, nutrients, minerals, and other cellular components. While this increase makes the muscle appear larger, it does not proportionally increase strength. Hyperplasia. This refers to an increase in the number of muscle fibers. However, research on hyperplasia is relatively limited, and it is not a primary focus for most natural athletes. Some people believe that focusing on sarcoplasmic hypertrophy results in faster muscle growth compared to myofibrillar hypertrophy. But is this really true? A study published in the Frontiers in Physiology in 2021 aimed to determine if periodically changing training modes would promote more muscle growth. Researchers recruited 20 men with an average age of 26 and about 2.5 years of training experience. Each participant's legs were subjected to different training regimens. One leg followed a periodically changing training mode, altering the number of sets, reps, or shortening rest intervals, while the other leg followed a consistent training mode, 2 exercises, each with 4 sets of 9 to 12 reps, for a total of 8 weeks. At the end of the study, muscle biopsies revealed that both legs experienced similar muscle growth. However, the nature of hypertrophy differed. The leg with consistent training saw balanced growth in both myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, while the leg with varied training showed increased sarcoplasmic hypertrophy only. From this, we understand that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is not true hypertrophy in the sense that it primarily involves an increase in the fluid within the muscle cells rather than the muscle fibers themselves. This increase is temporary, as the accumulated nutrients to cope with high-intensity training will be quickly broken down when no longer needed. True hypertrophy should involve myofibrillar hypertrophy, and the speed of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy does not necessarily outpace myofibrillar hypertrophy. For individuals who have been scientifically training for over 10 years and have reached their genetic limits for muscle growth, changing the training mode might be beneficial. However, for those with a foundational training background, using light weights with high reps and short rest intervals will not effectively help with muscle growth. For natural athletes, there is only one effective way to build muscle: progressively increasing the load. If you are a beginner, start with lighter weights to learn proper form and muscle engagement safely. Once you can perform an exercise safely and effectively with good neuromuscular recruitment, you can then start lifting heavier weights. It's also important to note that lifting heavy weights refers to weights that you can handle safely, typically in the range of 4 to 12 repetitions maximum, RM. If your training technique is advanced and you can ensure safety, the 4 to 8 RM range is the fastest for muscle growth.